because I needed to drop this cage down. Because with having this cage there and having this jack underneath, you would not be able to move the bar. As you can see, my van actually just shifted a little bit while talking. Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. My name is Serge, as a lot of you guys know. In today's video, we're going to be replacing the rear differential. I don't want to say drive shaft. I get those things confused sometimes. But this printer in the back over here with the yellow stripe, that is going to be my donor printer for my rear drive shaft, because my pinion or bearing or something is better than mine. I have replaced this drive shaft 2 years ago, but apparently that one has failed too, because you know these things have a lot of miles. And when I installed that other piece, I had I think like 450,000 miles, and the van had only 400,000 miles. So now the van has a little bit over 500,000 miles. So I got a pretty good 100,000 miles out of it, basically free, because that was from a parts van. That one, that's where it came out of. And the reason I replaced it before, because the two rear wheels, they're kind of like locked. So there's like no limited slip differential. So that's why. But anyways, this video is going to be showing you exactly how to lift up this van if you're a backyard mechanic. Now, I'm going to claim one thing. This is probably not safe, but you should look at it anyways. If there's a way that you could tell me to improve this, because life is real important, please let me know. But I have taken all the safety precautions, as I will show in this video. Maybe it's an overkill, maybe it's another kill. But the most important thing is that the van is not going to fall on you, or possibly your kids if they're going to be crawling over here and stuff like that. So let me show you what I did. Completely off the ground. I got the jack lifting right underneath the rear differential, underneath that portion. Let me see if I could actually give you a closer look. Right there, the jack is right underneath. I'm not touching a lid or anything. I'm just a little bit past that, and it is off the ground. Let me show you. This is a parts van. But anyways, first thing I did is I locked the wheels over here. Both front wheels are locked up so it doesn't roll. Plus it is in park, but it's not a front wheel drive vehicle, so it's gonna roll anyways. We got the rear wheels off the ground, so it naturally would wanna probably roll back, but it is a really soft ground, so I think the tires, they're kind of buried in there. But anyways, here's what I did. And I know what you're gonna say, guys, the blocks are not good, they could crumble and stuff like that, and you're gonna be exactly correct. But when you use block in combination with wood, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a little bit safer method. As you could see, because I have soft ground, I have, you know, basically put a piece of plywood down so that it's not gonna sink or tilt, you know, for that matter. And I did center. That piece is actually about as long as the end, well, the center of that piece of wood is. So I've placed two blocks, and initially both blocks are not going to fit. Like one block could be there and another block is just going to be like, you're going to be a couple inches short in order to fit it in. Then keep lifting it up little by little and keep inserting, you know, each piece. Of course, before I did that, I have undone all my lug nuts, and I'm going to be showing you guys this type of footage in a GoPro as well in another video. But for this particular video, I just want to show you guys what exactly I'm doing right now, because I sort of have like double work. I have to remove a rear differential from this and my other van, and then get that other rear differential installed on this one and this one on that one. So if that makes any sense, so the vehicle it's not gonna be just disabled here. But anyways, here's what I've done, guys. Look at this. Let's go underneath. If you see this bar right there, so like that metal bar, this wood is right across it. So it's kind of like, once I'm gonna drop down, that bar, this bar is a little bit above it. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna grab a shorter piece, or probably like a, I don't know, like a 2x4, or maybe like just a couple short little cutoffs. I'm gonna stick it over here so that it's gonna line up perfectly, so the lip is not gonna be touching. So I haven't added that piece just yet. I wanted to show you and observe this as well at the same time. As you can see, I put like 4 times the amount of boards to, you know, make it kind of like a little bit taller. So I think that once this here Drop my phone. But I think once this here lays like on another, you know, like piece of 2x4 or, you know, 2x6 or whatever I have some cutoffs of this, that it's going to be even with that. And then all the pressure, the break-in pressure, it's not going to be against the block. It's going to be against the wood. And the wood is going to be pressing on the block, which is going to be equally distributed. There's no metal pressing up against it. And because it's on both sides, the weight is going to be distributed with both. And then, as you could see, I have these jack stands as well as a secondary percussion. I mean, usually those would be enough. But in this case, I don't want to take any chances. And I installed those as well. As you could see, I've also placed a used piece of plywood. And I put some wood on top of that so that the legs of this jack stand will not press through the plywood, and it's gonna become tilted and then possibly fall. So I think I've taken all the measurements, precautions. Let me know if I didn't. Maybe as you can see, guys, by adding that extra piece of wood, it has actually exactly lined up with the body and stuff. So this is going to be going on the wood, pressing down on it really firmly. And I just need to set the jack a little bit lower, just a little bit, and it's pretty much going to keep the shape, which is nice. I also want to show you the other side. As you can see, that one, it's almost a snug fit. Over here, not so much, because the van is a little bit tilted. But we did get that wood all the way to the side there, and it's a shorter piece, which is going to be fine. The weight's going to be evenly distributed. So now it's time for me to explain what I did with the jack. Because I needed to drop this cage down. Because with having this cage there and having this jack underneath, you would not be able to move the bar. As you can see, my van actually just shifted a little bit while talking. Definitely not a safe place to be at. And kind of need to reach in there and drop it. As I mentioned it, probably not a safe thing. Especially with a really soft ground, because it lifted up the van a little bit crooked, as you guys have seen. I guess lifting it up from the rear differential in the shop where cement flooring would be a really good option. It would prevent this kind of thing from happening. But anyways, guys, right as I was talking to you, the van started shifting, as you could see. And then it really shifted over, and pretty much it would have fallen, but not to worry, because the tires are still not off. Because I know what you're saying is, oh man, what an idiot, like, what are you doing? But the tires are not off, and really, like in this situation, there's not a lot of things that you could do when you're a backyard mechanic if you don't have nothing but a jack, some boards, and some you know, some of these cinder blocks. But I'm sure I attempted to fall, and I didn't risk my life getting underneath of it. I did haul another jack over here, thinking that I could save the situation by actually securing this right side, which I should have had in the first place. I should have had a safety jack ready to go. But as you can see, it started actually tilting. As a matter of fact, I was trying to explain to you guys how to lift this thing up with the actual jack handle. See how it's like much shorter? There's another piece that's lying around over there. I had to make it shorter, removing the screw, so that the handle would be kind of like, you know, in proper place. You know, so I could actually make it. But in reality, you know, I should have actually removed the handle, put it right through that little cage, put the handle right back, put the screw back in there, kind of kept things safe, because I could have simply came up over here and quickly lowered the van. This would have not happened. As you've seen, the handle was actually sticking out. You're probably thinking, why won't I, you know, simply lower? I can't, because that handle is, it was just there for lifting purposes. The screw was already out. So I didn't want to risk it by climbing underneath and trying to actually lift it, even though you could clearly see it's still got the wheels and tires on there. So if it would have dropped, I mean, it would have just dropped on, you know, wheels and tires. And as you could tell, these vans, they're pretty tall up, so it would not like crush me or anything. But still, it's a pretty scary situation. As you can see, I've done a lot of things over here to try to, you know, prevent this from happening. But, you know, this type of things could happen. And this is why I brought the extra jack stands, thinking that it's going to save it. Let me show you. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's got a lot of boards over here and stuff like that. So just simply, you know, laid on it, you know, so no problems. But look at that one. See how it's like completely out? So it did try to help, but because the van was lifted up a little bit too high, you know, it started kind of sliding to the left. It fell on that jack stand. So now I need to kind of like safely get that jack stand out of there with a piece of longboard and place it correctly. But you could clearly see those boards as I actually installed that board. Even though it shifted, it still landed on that board, which is nice. It, you know, it really helped things, you know. And I was just in time with adding those boards, but of course I was just in the process of doing it. Now look at my jack, it's sideways. Guys, you know one of the reasons it started tilting? Because plywood is junk. Look, it punctured holes through the plywood, causing that tire to really sink, and there you go. Big problem. I mean, I don't know how to fix that besides using like a lump board like this. But it was, you know, when I actually placed the jack, I mean, I barely was able to pass underneath that underneath the rear differential. I guess having one of those Daytona jacks would have helped. They're much lower, and I could have actually got it, you know, right underneath there, and used a nice, you know, like, I don't know, piece of like 2x6 or maybe like 2x8 like this. These are just small, like these are, you know, like 1x6s or something. But yeah, guys, gotta get that jack out of there too, you know, and resecure it somewhere else just in case. So guys, now I need to actually get the blocks more evenly underneath there, and here's what I've done so far. I have lifted up this end using my jack stand from the bottom, and guys, you can clearly see these blocks are now a little bit over here like they're supposed to be, and the weight is perfectly distributed. And of course I fixed my jack stand. Time for me to lower this end, starting that off. I decided to put these blocks sideways, stick them right underneath here, readjust this type of plate that's holding it. So I think it's pretty sturdy now. We got the jack stand on both sides, so everything's pretty good. Pretty well, it's right in there. So all of this stuff is straight. So we have not a lot of stuff to worry about. I desperately need some water, and need to eat something because all I had is coffee all day. And just came out here, decided to work and see how I'm gonna do these things. Had to actually kind of brainstorm whether to do it the same way I did it 2 years ago, or to do it this way. 2 years ago, I did a little different setup. I had the blocks at the back of the vehicle and at the front, and they were in sets of 2 close to each other, and then they kind of like parallel like that. I think it was a much stronger design. It had a lot more, you know, weight support. This time I kind of decided to go just with the 2 blocks on top of each other. Probably not a good idea. I think I should have went with a square type of design, which is what I'm going to do when I'm going to be doing that other Sprinter, because obviously it could tilt over left or right. It could fall, as you've seen. This happened. Guys, I'm pretty good at editing. I could have edited that part out, but one thing I want to make sure to let you know, guys, safety is very important. You know, take care of your life, take care of your health. Don't just look at my videos for this type of stuff. Look at, you know, regular safety guidelines and other YouTubers, mechanics, you know, how they're doing these things, you know, to make sure you're going to be safe. Because I don't want to be promoting unsafe type of standards, but I'm a backyard mechanic. I'm working with what I got, and I know safety is like my #1 concern, guys. Seriously. One of the reasons I decided to just go like the double type of a block, because I figure I'm gonna have jack stands as well. So if anything happens, I mean, they're supporting it as well. So, but now I see it, you need jack stands, and you need, you know, like double up the blocks, you know, like that kind of crisscross pattern. But guys, if I could give you any advice, the best way to do it is going to be with tree logs. If you got some tree logs that you could use, they're nicely straight, and you use that, that is the most safest method. I got some logs, but they're not straight, and I really can't use them because they're probably going to make things worse, if anything. So that's why I'm sticking with cinder blocks. At least they're straight. And if you really think about it, all the mobile homes, single wide, double wides, they're supported by a bunch of blocks. So if it's good enough for that, I mean, shouldn't it be good enough for a Sprinter van? Plus, it weighs so much less. So you be the judge. But anyways, this video pretty much came to an end. I will be disassembling this tomorrow. I'm not gonna really do it today, so I'm just gonna put this video out for you today and show you guys what's going on. And then I'm gonna put a GoPro on, and then we're gonna go at it, disassembling the outer sprinter, and then of course removing this. So that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for making it.
My name is Serge Zimaleta. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now, I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have Sprinter expedite or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.